The views and opinions of this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. There is substantial risk of loss in trading futures and options, which you should carefully consider prior to trading. Well, it's safe to say it was definitely a Friday the 13th in the market trade. As we closed out the week, we got the long-awaited RFS announcement from the EPA. That sent soybeans bean oil sharply higher, plus the escalation of tensions in the Middle East between Israel and Iran. That had an impact on the crude oil market, obviously, and the stocks and much more. Here to break it all down with us, Tommy Grisafi from Nesvick Trading and AgBull Media. Tommy, welcome back to the show, my friend. And, for those of us who watch these markets day in and day out, it was getting a little boring. So nice to get some volatility and activity here, I guess, to end the week, right?
Funny you mentioned that. I sent a text out and emailed the clients yesterday afternoon saying, I wish I had better news. There's nothing to talk about. I don't have any advice. Grains are going sideways. The markets are going sideways. VIX, the volatility in the S&P is at 2-3-month lows, meaning that the markets had calmed down. All is well in the world. And all of a sudden, I'm adjusting lights here in my little studio here in Nashville. And someone says, do you think with crude oil up so much, it'll affect corn? I had no idea. And that's so unlike me because I'm always dialed into the markets. But I actually took a few hours off. So with that, last night, I turned on my computers. No biggie. Crude's up 5, right? Dow's down 500. A few hours later, crude oil was up $9. That's 13%, right? If soybeans were up 13%, that would be a big move, my friend. I'm trying to do the math. That'd be like a $1.40, $1.50 move. So if Jesse Allen came on and said soybeans are up $1.50, that's what crude oil did last night. Imagine being able to say corn's up 13%. You couldn't because it would be well beyond limit, and that would be wonderful because we have a lot of producers who need a little boost. With that, we have an active market here, and grains are going out real close to the high. I love it on a Friday. A lot of times when I record these with you, I kind of feel like a loser because the markets are going nowhere, and we have, we're guys like us are trying to say the same stuff over and over. We have something to talk about now.
Middle East tensions. Let's start there. Obviously, you mentioned the impact in crude. I think that even maybe spilled into soybean oil a little bit on Friday as well. And still so much uncertainty and volatility and concern about this overall situation. But it had a negative effect on stocks. I think that translated into cattle as well. I mean, your take on just the broader market impacts of the escalation and tensions in the Middle East, Tommy?
Yeah, great point. So we digested what happened last night. It's now becoming night again over in Israel and Iran. We have Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. They are going to go after it. Iran's out and out said, we're going after Israel. We're going after the United States. They're talking about a word I don't like to say. It starts with a T here in the United States. And they're saying, folks, be safe. They think there's going to be retaliation here within this United States. Let's hope that's not true. But there are some major escalations going on overseas. It's adding a bid to things. I was concerned. I called a friend this morning from Iowa. I said, I think you guys sell cattle on the open. He goes, that hasn't been working out too well. I said, I know, but there's going to come a time where there's too much risk. The funds are too long, and they're just going to have to take some of this risk off. Now, what could happen? Cattle are down 300-400 right now. We come in over the weekend, and there's a major escalation. Dow has a bad day today, bad day Sunday, bad day Monday. We can see a risk-off event, and that would not be good for our producers. But within that risk-off event, if crude oil is going to go up 12%, corn's not a $4.30 item, my friend.
That's a great point. In this corn market, in particular, has just been very, very stagnant. There's some carry of this market, Tommy. I mean, for corn producers at this 440 level, I mean, nobody's really liking it. And to your point, maybe crude moving higher can help out the corn market a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely something we didn't have on our bingo card. Of course, what happened this morning with that positive announcement with the EPA. Yep. That was a good one. That was good. It is so wonderful to be able to text clients today and say beans are up 25, corn's up 6, wheat's up 13, and this is what's going on in the world. And that pretty much gets us to like where we were a few weeks ago in price. It's nothing great, but the bleeding stopped. Now, note with that, the funds are extremely short. I'm interested to see what the funds did here as we get that announcement later in the day. Funds may start taking off their shorts here as the dynamics of the world markets have changed, Jesse.
That's a good point. Maybe getting some risk aversion here with that fund activity. And you mentioned it too, the EPA announcement. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this, finally getting the numbers out on Friday. And Tommy, by and large, these numbers much better than I think anyone anticipated. And as you noted, it's being reflected in the trade on Friday.
Yeah, and our ag secretary has been very forward about saying we're going to do things to help the farmers. Is this not something to help the farmer? I hope it is. It's to help the overall ag industry. I am not an expert on this subject. When it comes to this, I go to more people like you and people I know in the industry, and everyone had an opinion about it. No one knew what that ruling. I mean, if you knew what that ruling was going to be, you would have clicked over and bought some bean oil here, because bean oil closed limit up and it's still bid for quite a bit here. So a very positive thing for the oil sector and all oils, like our friends up in Canada and North Dakota growing that canola, as we have canola oil. All oil seeds around the world are getting the benefit of this, Jess.
Well, something a nice positive way to end the week in the soy complex, because I know something I'm sure you saw throughout the week. I did too. A lot of chatter on social media about some of the changing in basis on the soy side. You know, ADM and other folks across the Midwest flipping things over, going to price off the November contract, and that had a lot of folks talking throughout the week. Tommy.
Yeah, there was some farmers caught off guard. Hey, when you're holding all the cards, you get to throw whatever next card you want. And in this case, they said, we're no longer pricing off the July. We're going off the November. And if you don't like it, what's it matter? Because all the other elevators in the area price off that elevator. So once one major player changes something, no different like the cash cattle market, someone established cash at this price, and then the others rally around it, and then the futures and the spreads rally around that. A big move. But to see that happened, and now soybeans go up 25. That puts the farmer who had small crop beans right back in the game. So it's a big win, big positive as we enter the middle of June here for row crop farmers.
I do want to ask you about the broader economy too before we have some final thoughts. I know the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index was out Friday morning. That jumped to 60.5, up from the May reading of 52.2. You know, everyone, it seems like a lot of folks are starting to feel like, oh, the economy is better and inflation is pulling back and things of that nature. But I'm still a skeptic on that, Tommy. I mean, what's your thought about the broader economic picture here in the middle of June?
Well, interesting you say the word inflation. If I tell you crude oil's up 13%, that is not disinflation. That is pure inflation in every form. And as Americans get ready to go driving, I know we had drill baby drill, but we hit $77, $78 crude last night. A lot of people thought we'd be $55 crude. You know, our friend Carly Garner puts out some great charts on there. I watch her on RFD and Mad Money with Jim Cramer, and she had a thing where she thought crude could be in the lower 50s, and it was on its way there till it wasn't, right? Mm-hmm. Higher energies bring inflation. I did, on a positive note, went and bought my parents a new TV at Best Buy. I bought a 55-inch TV, Jess, $199, and it came with a Fire Stick. So some things aren't inflating, and when it comes to little nuggets like that TV at Best Buy, you can really get some money. But when it comes to tires, matter of fact, this headset I'm wearing, Jesse, a year ago when I'd go buy this, it was $200. I went to replace one the other day on B&H. It was $260. Now, I don't know what parts are in this little baby to make it go up $60, but that's inflation, right? Home insurance, auto insurance, every insurance, health insurance, through the roof, that's inflation. So some things are calming down, some things aren't. Obviously, anyone who's bought any, went grocery shopping, we're seeing nothing getting better at the store.
No, we are not. We are not. Tommy, all right. So I'll throw this to you. Final thoughts. I just love your perspective on risk management as a whole. Of course, we remember risk of trading futures and options can be substantial, but as we're working past planting now, we're getting into the summer dog days. We see all this volatility coming into the markets at the end of the week. There's a lot going on. Put this into perspective for producers. What do they need to keep in mind here, keep their eye on the prize, so to speak, with their marketing right now, Tommy?
Great question, and I have an answer for that. The one thing I'm working with producers is, having a plan for bushels they can't store. We have the potential right now to have a whopper of a corn crop with some big acres. I am calling every client and say, tell me what bushels you can't store. We'll deal with that first. Then we'll move to the bushels you can store. And then we can get into all the BS of, is it a record yield? Is it not a record yield? Does the USDA lie? But there is no doubt there are a lot of farmers watching your show who cannot store all the corn. And we know how many beans go to town. So we're calling around. We're asking about cash bids at harvest for both corn and beans. We are going to have a plan and execute it. We may not make money, but the markets don't always guarantee you get to make money. And the government still says, and they've been hinting that the government's going to give you money. I wish we knew how much and possibly if the government's going to give how many dollars per acre or how many cents per bushel for corn, wheat, and beans to the producer. The livestock producer is just getting money from 2-3 years ago from a drought, and cattle prices are at all-time highs. So I don't think the U.S. government's going to leave our farmer behind, but times are tougher. We are going to market some bushels at a loss and then own it on paper from there with harvest bushels, Jess.
Always appreciate the insight. Tommy, if folks want to reach out to you there at Nesvick Trading and AgBull Media for a conversation, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, go to the AgBull website, www.agbull.com. We're working on a new website, but that's what we have right now. There's a QR code. Take a picture of that. Has all my information, personal cell phones on there. Call me, text me. I'd love to talk to you. Everyone have a great, safe weekend.
Tommy Grisafi, Nesvick Trading, AgBull Media. Thanks for the time here on Market Talk. Always appreciate it, my friend. Have a great weekend and happy Father's Day.
Thank you, sir. Same to you.
Make sure to subscribe to the Market Talk YouTube channel. You can watch our latest interviews with top market analysts in the country, find bonus content, and much more. It's easy. Just go to youtube.com/@MarketTalkAg and hit the subscribe button. Or you can search for Market Talk Ag on YouTube.